Hello, good evening. Welcome to Spiritual Money Mind Shift. And this is the start of our evening class this week. We have one night a week, usually 2 or 3 times a month, where we get together and talk about a few things that you've posted in the group, things that are designed to help you. And I know we have a few new members, so if you're catching the replay, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And if you've been here for a while, thank you for sticking around and thank you for sharing your sprouts. There have been so many people that have changed their financial situation using these techniques in the group, paying off credit card debt, improving their marriage by getting on the same page with finances. And even if you're not on the same page with your spouse, marriages tend to improve when there's not so much stress about money and debt. All right, now, first of all, I haven't done much of this, so I'm going to take the time just to let you know a little bit about myself and how I got here and why I'm doing this for you. I got married when I was 35. My husband was a man that did not accumulate debt, but I did. I brought debt into the marriage, $18,000 in student loans. We went ahead and purchased a house. We purchased land, we built our own house, we put things on the credit cards. We got a new vehicle, and that was financed. Um, we ended up having a child that had medical issues. We had about 2 years of going to Miami Children's Hospital, and those bills racked up. We're talking like 80,000 in debt, and it was starting to be crushing, and it really affected our marriage. So I did not grow up being trained on how to handle money. As a matter of fact, my mom wouldn't even talk about money. She wouldn't even tell me the price of things. I was completely ignorant and I had no clue. As a matter of fact, even before I got married, I had a job. And when the company went under, I paid my rent with my credit card. They had these little convenience checks, and I'm like, "Sure, that's convenient. I'll just write my rent with a check." That was not smart. It was a mess. I had a lot of debt, and I actually paid that off. And then I went into more debt, and then in the marriage, I didn't learn my lesson the first time. So I was really convicted at one point that this debt, it's not going to go away by itself. I looked for people to learn from. There's one gentleman who's very popular out there. I got his program. There's another woman that was very popular as well. I got her stuff, and there's definitely a lot of great advice and tips, but it wasn't working for me. I mean, there's great tips, there's great knowledge, and I give you great tips and knowledge in the group, but it takes more than great tips and knowledge. I found a community. I went to First Steps to Success with Danny Johnson, and the dynamics of the community, in addition to the practical mindset tips, really put a fire under my butt. And I paid off $92,000 in 12 months. $92,000 in 12 months. Now, I want you to know it wasn't because I got an extra job. Actually, I was losing my small part time job. So our income decreased, but in 1 year, we paid off that amount of debt when it took me 17 years to pay about the same amount of money. Um, Paying off the car, the medical bills, the mortgage, and you may or may not realize this, the first year that you pay a mortgage, you got about 80 or 90% of that money going directly to the bank. 80 or 90% of what you're paying the first year of your mortgage doesn't even doesn't even go to your principal. So the first year of paying a mortgage, the bank's got a whole bunch of money, and what you owe is still pretty close to the same. That's a scary thought. So I became debt free, mortgage free, even when losing part of my income. So that was freeing. That was amazing. That changed my life. It changed the trajectory of our marriage. It changed what we could do together. And it was really a breath of fresh air. As I grew in handling my money, I learned how to not go back into debt because I was in debt. And then I got out of debt. And then I went back in debt again. So there are things that you are going to learn in this group to help keep you out of debt once you get out of debt. And it really comes with that mind shift. And for me, it was really a spiritual shift. It wasn't just about physical money and physical things that I could do. It was about freedom. And when I say a spiritual shift, that shift can happen no matter your faith. I mean, I believe the best success book ever written is the Bible. I believe the Bible, that's where my faith is. If you have a different faith, that's okay. The same principles still apply. One of the things that the Bible actually recommends in the book of Proverbs is it recommends that you don't co-sign. Don't co-sign alone. So it doesn't matter what your faith is, even if you're an atheist, that's good advice. Don't co-sign alone unless you're prepared to pay the whole thing off yourself, because that's what you're agreeing to. So there we go for that. Now, I'm here. I'm still out of debt. I have learned, even if with my limited income, even with losing some income and getting out of debt, I've learned to develop cash flows. I've learned to make my money work for me, and I still have fun. So, and I learned to still have fun while I was in debt. Just because you're in debt and you're paying off debt doesn't mean that you cannot do anything good for yourself. That would be miserable. You would not last long paying off debt. So you can have fun. It's part of doing a budget, having a fun budget. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about percentages, how to work that into your particular budget. If you're tracking, if you're not tracking, start doing it. You want to get 3 months together of tracking your expenses. That way you can determine some averages and you can see a pattern. So we're going to talk about the budget, and I'm going to give you some book recommendations that I love. All right, so many people in the group are talking about how much money they spend on groceries. Now, groceries tend to be the largest part of many people's budget, the largest part that you actually have control over. Many people go for convenience foods and they go through the drive-through and they go to their Starbucks every day, and that adds up. You pay for convenience. And once you get that under control, the food budget, get that under control, and you'll find that you have more money to pay off your debt. All right, so take a look in the group. You might want to do a search for War on Debt Fridge or War on Debt Refrigerator. Take a look at some of the core foundational trainings to help get that under control. And that's a big part. Once you do that, um, you're going to start paying off more debt and start seeing your freedom. All right, so percentages versus dollar cost. Here is a clue from the wealthy that they don't teach in school. The wealthy set their budget by percentages, not by dollar amount. So there's a few things in the group that talks about the difference between what these groups are giving. Now you might say, well, if you're a wealthy person, you can spend 10% of your budget on food and it's still going to be a greater dollar amount than my 30% budget on food. All right, maybe so. But I want you to get out of that mindset and get out of the comparison mindset and do what you can do. I will tell you what, using these war on debt techniques, you can be on a school teacher's salary if you start at the beginning and at the end of your career, be a millionaire. I'm going to say that again. If you're a school teacher, and we know in America, school teachers really are highly underpaid. But even with a low salary like that, if you're starting as a school teacher, you use these principles, you manage your discretionary spending, you can retire as a millionaire. How do I know that? Because I had somebody send in a testimonial that did just that. They were a school teacher. They retired as a millionaire. They got out of debt, they stayed out of debt, and they learned how to manage their percentages. So I'm going to give you a little idea about percentages. Growing and investing. How much do you put into investing for your future, percentage wise? How much do you want to put? Most people, according to some of the slides I put up, most middle class people put about 5% of their paycheck away for investing, for growth, 5%. The millionaires are putting away 65%. Yes, but they're millionaires. They have more money to put away. They have an easier time. How did they get to be a millionaire? They got to be a millionaire because they were putting 65% away. They didn't start out that way. All right. I'm not talking about people that were born into money. 65%. And I'll be honest, I'm not there yet. I'll tell you what I'm doing in growing and investing. 65%. Now, when you go down to the living expenses, the needs, the wants, you need transportation, you need food, you want a nice dress, you want the fancy skincare line. Most middle class people are spending 95% of their income on needs and wants. 95%. Think about it. They're not investing anything. They're eating their seed. It's like the goose that laid the golden egg. I don't know if you know that story. There was a goose and it would lay a golden egg once a day. And the person that owned this goose was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I get a little golden egg. I'm going to go cash it in. This is amazing. This is my income stream. I've got this goose that lays a golden egg." And they spent the entire value of the golden egg every day. And they're like, "You know what? I want some more. I've gotten comfortable spending this amount, didn't save anything. I want some more. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut open the goose and I'm going to get all the golden eggs at once." Well, obviously, that doesn't work because they killed the goose. Your income is like a golden egg. You don't want to spend it all. And if you're not taking a good portion of it and investing in it, then it's like you're killing the goose. By the time you get to the age where it's harder to work, if you haven't invested when you're young, then you're not going to have it when you're older. This is the time. Now, if you don't know how to invest, that's okay. Just still put some aside. Those are skills you can learn later. Before you even do that, you need to be committed. And I'll tell you, I'm committed to you in this group. I have posted so many things. I come on here live for you. Um, as a Destiny Global coach, I have had lots of training from them, amazing training and things I want to share for you. They they charge me out at $200 an hour. $200 an hour. So if you're here, it's like you're getting a free $200 an hour. And I'm giving that to you because I want to give back. I don't need to do this. I don't need to work. We can live the rest of our lives relaxing. I'm not going to be on a yacht. I don't have that level of finances, but I have everything I need and I never need to work another day in my life. And it is freeing and it allows me to do things that I love, like be here with you. Like be here with you and help you get out of debt and help you get to the point where you're enjoying life more. All right, so I'm going to be honest with you right here. I do my percentages on the entire amount. That's called the gross amount. Many people do their percentages based on the net, which means after taxes. And then they take that as their whole. So I don't care whether you do percentages by the gross or percentages by the net. There's pros and cons to either, but just start training your mind to do things that the wealthy do so you can become wealthy. And again, by wealthy, I mean, what is wealth to you? It's being able to live this life without the pressure, without debt. What does it mean to you? And it is not bad to have wealth. It is not more spiritual to be poor. If you are a faith-based person and you read the Bible, Abraham was the father, the father of everybody in the Bible. Abraham was called by God. God's like, hey, follow me. I'm going to make descendants greater than the stars in the sky. That's cool. And I'm going to make you rich. Sign me up. Who else in the Bible? Isaac, Jacob, Jacob who wrestled with God, Daniel. Daniel was an advisor to four kings. He had the wealth of four kings. Solomon, David. There is nothing wrong with wealth. It is not more spiritual to be poor. This is a problem that a lot of people have, and I'm going to do a whole series on that, but I want you to know it's not more spiritual to be poor. The creator has all of the abundance of the world, but God's not going to give it to you if you can't handle it. Be faithful with the little and you'll be given more. Be faithful with what you have and you'll be given more. It's not wrong to want more or to have more. And I'm not talking about being greedy. I'm talking about you have the ability to give more. You have the ability to give more to your children. You have the ability to give more to your family, to give more to your neighbors. What about the person down the street who just lost their job, or the widow who just lost her husband, or somebody that you know that's struggling? What if you can help them even more? So again, it's what you do with it. Now, my percentages, I give 10% off the top. 10% straight off the top. Doesn't matter what my taxes are, doesn't matter what anything is. The income that I get, 10% of it off the top goes to giving. So if God gives me more abundance in a dollar amount, then the dollar amount that I'm giving to the poor, the widow, and the orphan will increase because I'm faithful, I'm consistent. That is a non discretionary rule, 10%. And in case any of you are wondering about giving, the Bible, the best success book ever written, God says that, hey, the true religion to me is that you take care of the poor, the widow, and the orphan. When were you taught that in church? I wasn't taught that. Maybe you were. I wasn't taught that. I was taught that, wow, we have a big mortgage on this building. You need to give us money so that we can continue meeting in the church because we're in a building and we need the money. Banks have foreclosed on churches. They don't like to do it. It doesn't look good, in the newspaper, but who's your God? Who's your God? The banker or God's true religion helping the poor, the widow, and the orphan? So I give 10% off the top. 20%, the 20% is growth and investing, not speculation, growth and investing. And I want to be clear about that. There are a lot of people, you might be one of them, I was one of them, that did not really understand what investing was. Investing is where you put your money somewhere it's going to grow. Now, I'll tell you something else I did. Gold, silver. I thought that was an investment. It's not an investment. Why is it not an investment? It's a speculation. It's not paying you. If you get a gold coin and you put it in your pocket, you don't get money from it. It doesn't pay you. Maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go down. You're betting that it's going to go up, and you're hoping that it's going to go up faster than inflation. Is that really the case? I've looked at gold for the past 10 to 15 years. I got in sub 1,000. I did make money. It was a speculation. I got lucky. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I saw gold just kind of level out, kind of stay in the 1500s, 1800s, kind of leveling out. And it's been stagnant for a long time, and gold is artificially suppressed. So when you buy it, you need to ask yourself, why am I buying it? And what is my exit strategy? It is a speculation, it's not an investment. For speculations, I take that out of my living and want needs category. So again, 10% giving, not to the bankers, to the poor and the orphan and the widow. All right. Growing and investing 20%. I want a return on that money. There's dividend stocks. There's royalties. Maybe you wrote a piece of music, or maybe you authored a book. There's royalties. You can invest in your own personal growth. That's a guaranteed ROI, return on investment. Now let's get to debt. At this point, 0% of my income goes to debt. Now, when I had debt, I wasn't investing anything. Instead of investing, I was paying off debt. Instead of investing and growing my wealth, I was helping the bankers get wealthy. That had to change. Taxes and deductions. In my husband's pay stub, about 20% is taken out, and we do get a return. I'm going to say a word about taxes. If you get a large amount back, you are giving the IRS an interest-free loan. I'm going to say that again. If you get money back, people brag like, woohoo, I got 3,000 back. I got 4,000 back. Woohoo, I got $1,000 back. You just lost money. You gave the IRS an interest-free loan. You could have put it in a CD. You could have done something to make it grow. I'm going to make another confession right here. I like getting money back because I don't want to have to owe. I like having a big comfort zone, and I willingly acknowledge I give the IRS an interest-free loan. It is not the best money management strategy, but I do it right now. It's easier for me because I never want to have to owe anything. And when I get that back, I've already tithed on it. Um, I can take the big ball of wax and give more, invest more, do something with it. Um, but that is a strategy that I could do better, just being honest. Finally, I live on 50% of what we make. 50%. Um, my wants, my needs, my electricity. Uh, this is where I'll put money aside if I want to speculate in something like crypto or gold, travel. It's all got to come out of there. And that's it. Is that breakdown right for everybody? It might not be right for you, but it's going to give you an idea. Now, my son, when he was a teenager, every dollar he got, 10% went to giving because I want to train him to be a giver. This changes your mindset when you're a giver. You're like, oh, wow, I'm going to keep 90% and 10% I'm going to give away. It's a mindset, it's a training. I wish I had that training when I was young. Then every dollar he gets, 50% of it goes into investing. And I'll tell you, I saw that millionaire little graphic. It said that 65% go to investing. He just got a better paying job. I'm thinking of talking to him and saying, hey, you got a better paying job. Why don't you up your investments to 65? He just turned 20. Can you imagine what he's going to have invested compounding over the next 30 or 40 years? Again, I wish I had this when I was younger. And if you have children, this is what you want to do. You want to get their mindset right. As you grow, as your education is redeemed, we're redeeming the next generation. My son doesn't have any debt. We've encouraged him to stay that way. Taxes, I don't know, maybe he gets 15% taken out for taxes from his paycheck. And he lives on 25% of his paycheck. Lives on 25%. Now he lives at home. So, but he does pay for his own car expenses. He pays for his own insurance. And this is a good strategy for him. It's good training for him. So, that's it. Short, sweet. Think about your percentages. Think about what you want. Think about your goals, and take a look. What is the average percentage that people spend on housing? That people spend on food? You can find that. You can do an internet search. Take a look what everybody else is doing and see if you can do better. So it's a lot of other things. We can talk about savings and emergency funds. I have a different strategy, and I have a strategy where you can still be saving up money, but having that money work for you. All right. We'll get into that in another call, but I'm going to give you 4 books that are going to help change your mindset. The Go Giver. This is by Bob Berg and John David Mann. The Go Giver. I enjoyed it, an easy book to read. I think this is one that I want to read again. And really, giving opens yourself up to abundance. Giving opens yourself up to abundance. So read that one if you like. I'm not forcing you to do anything. This is also changing your mindset. The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a story. It's a fun story. It's a story you can read with your children. You can use it in homeschooling curriculum. It's an easy read. It's got deep ideas. If you do homeschool and you want something deeper about money, this book by Adam Ferguson is called When Money Dies: The Nightmare of Deficit Spending, Devaluation, and Hyperinflation in Weimar Germany. This book is eye-opening. It's about history. I never learned about this history in school. It's definitely a deeper read, but it is powerful about what happened in Weimar Germany and how inflation just wrecked the people in Germany. And I'll give you a little clue as to what happened here. Inflation was happening so rapidly that men would get paid 2 or 3 times a day because money was being devalued so quickly. So they'd get paid in the afternoon, their wives would come, they would take the money and they would buy anything they could. A pair of gloves, a pot or pan. They would have to spend money so they could have a physical object. I mean, a pot or a pan is going to have value, about the same amount of value, no matter where inflation is. And in the evening, when they would go and get the money, that same pot or pan that may have cost them, 300 Deutschmarks was now 900 Deutschmarks in just the span of a few hours. It was outrageous. So, a little scary, but when you have money strategy, you can temper the craziness that goes on in our world. Another little spoiler alert: the people that did not live in the big cities, the people that lived in the country, the people that grew their own food, had their own livestock, they were pretty much untouched by this crazy hyperinflation. So there's always strategies. For every disaster, there's a strategy. For every test, there's a testimony. And the final book, and if you're going to pick one and you're brand new to investing and managing your money, The Millionaire Next Door. The Millionaire Next Door talks about who's rich in this country. It's not who you think. The people that are flashing the fancy cars and the Rolexes, a lot of times they're in debt up to their eyeballs. The more money you make, the more you spend. And that's what the 98% do, but we want to do better. Talks about the millionaire next door. What do they do? Where do they shop? What do they drive? How do they invest? Where did their ancestors come from? How did they get rich? And can I ever become one of them? Again, this is about living your best life, leaving a legacy, staying in freedom. Thank you again. I'm so glad you're part of the group. And I will see you next time. Stay well.